Welcome in. What do we got?
Oh, we've got trophy fish, we've got baseball, we've got mythical beasts, and we can't forget Russian mobsters. So let's hit it.
Are either one of these any good?
Wow, this is a good movie.
It's pretty good.
Well, the director from yesterday doesn't think so.
It stinks.
He's sorry. You waste our film. It's so bad.
This is the Screening Room Podcast. Welcome to it. She is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And we're from MaddWolf.com, MaddWolf. Back in our usual type of recording atmosphere, we got to say thanks again for the fun time we had last week at Mills James Productions here in Columbus, Ohio, where we are. Got up extra early. And they had us to their open house. That was really nice.
It was.
I mean, we've been to Mills James before. We've filmed some things there. We know they're pros.
Yeah.
But we got back in there and they gave us the whole big shebang. And it was really, really, really nice. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, it was.
But we're back looking at a few films this week. We've got theaters and we've got some streaming. Do we have some streaming?
We do.
All right. So as I know, I was talking to some people who are experiencing some bad weather in some parts of the country this weekend, not going to be going out. So we do have some options there if that's what you're looking for. But then let's start on the big screen.
First up, a mysterious woman repeatedly appears in a family's front yard, often delivering chilling warnings and unsettling messages, leaving them to question her identity, motives, and the potential danger she might pose in The Woman in the Yard.
The sun is bright, and the wind is still. She comes to you like a sudden chill. Draped in black, from head to toe. How she got there, you'll never know.
Today's the day.
Creepy vibes from that trailer. Creepy vibes, because right away you're seeing that you're out there, not a lot of neighbors around.
Yeah.
And there's some creepy person on your front lawn covered in veils. You can't really see him, which is creepy. But then you see it's Danielle Deadwyler, and we love her.
Yes. Yeah. Danielle Deadwyler plays a widowed mother. She's still very banged up from the accident that took her husband. So she's on crutches. She has a hard time getting around. She wakes up to find that the power is out. The dog is throwing up. The kids are irritated with her. She's got an adolescent son and a younger daughter. And there's a woman in the yard. And it's Danielle Deadwyler is so good. She's so good in everything. And she was really the reason I was most excited about this movie, because anytime an actor of that caliber decides, yeah, I'm going to make a horror movie next, that's exciting news.
Yeah.
And one of the things that the movie does, so it was directed by Jaume Collet-Serra, who's done a lot of Neeson's, done a lot of action films. And in this case, what he does is kind of the opposite of that. He really builds tension without anything really happening, because the family, they're out in the middle of nowhere, no electricity, the car's not starting, the phones didn't charge. And this woman, they're afraid to go outside, or they're debating inside, mother and adolescent son, who's right, who should be the one in charge inside the house. And I really appreciated the way that it's more of the performances than the dialogue that gives you the sense that this anxiety inside the house has been building. Mm-hmm. That since the accident, maybe mom has kind of let too much slide. She's not really carrying her weight. Maybe we can feel for her. She's beat up. She lost her husband. Maybe we feel for her son, who is carrying the weight and getting in trouble every time the younger daughter does something, even though the mom isn't paying attention. And that anxiety is interesting. And it's really where most of the tension is. And one of the things I liked about it is that you're not sure which characters you like. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate that kind of complexity in a horror film, because a lot of times they just tell you right away, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys. And humanity is not like that. And then, every time things get a little bit out of hand, then somebody looks out the window and be like, is she closer? I think she's closer.
Yes.
And
That's what I loved.
Yeah.
That's what I love, because it takes me back. And anybody that has listened to this podcast for a while, or our other horror movie podcast, Fright Club, I've said many times the thing that scared me the most in my life was when I was a kid. It was one of the very first episodes of Night Gallery, and it's when there were Roddy McDowall, and there's a painting, and every time he looks at the painting, the body in the cemetery is closer to the door. It has moved. It has up, and it's coming toward the door. So incrementally getting closer. And that's just even though it's not, it's not bloody, it's not gory, it's really creepy.
Yeah. And the other thing that they do, that Colette Sarah does, is to this really fun use of shadow, this really creepy use of shadow.
Yeah.
And that's it again. It's PG-13 horror, and it's Blumhouse. So, go into it not expecting a bloodbath. Don't expect it to be super terrifying, because it is PG-13. It's aimed at a very broad audience. I appreciate the complexity of the characters, because I think that that's uncommon in a film that's aimed at a broad audience. But I think that, you're going to have people who want to know who they're supposed to like and who they're not supposed to like. And I think you're going to have people who want more to happen, which is not to say nothing happens. It does escalate. It does get scary. I appreciated it. I didn't think it was great. One of the things that's going to be a problem is that people who watch a lot of horror films, I think, are going to appreciate the complexity, but also see the twist coming.
Yeah.
And it's hard not then, and I'm not going to say what I compare it to, because that will give the twist away, but it's hard not to compare it unfavorably to a different film, because the different film is a masterpiece and would be next to impossible to live up to.
Yeah.
But it's creepy fun. I enjoyed it. And Danielle Deadwyler is amazing.
Of course. And we love seeing her in anything. And it is PG-13 horror. If it was R, I think the woman in the yard would be Karen from the Homeowners Association, and she would be coming here to talk about your violations. That would be the R-rated version, and blood would flow. But there's a lot of people, we talk to them, that they're not into horror movies as much as we are, and they like this sort of thing. This is the kind of speed, and there's an audience for that. There is. This is as scary as they want to go, and that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with creepy. Yeah. And that certainly is. But I think you're right. If you have a deep dive into horror films, you'll see this territory has been gone down this road before. Mm-hmm. And so you may find it not as profound as you would like, but still I think a recommendation, right, for a nice creepy film to start out with, and that is The Woman in the Yard, and it's in theaters now.
Next up, father-daughter duo Elliot and Ridley hit a unicorn with their car and bring it to the wilderness retreat of a mega-wealthy pharmaceutical CEO in Death of a Unicorn.
I don't think that we're supposed to have this.
We need to study it.
Whatever it is, it seems to be the cure for cancer.
Cancer? That's the biggest one. An opportunity for greatness, for immortality. I've never been so alive.
Dad, please just listen to me. We need to give the little one back. Okay, bad things will happen. There are two of them? They're gonna kill us.
I'll do whatever I have to take care of you.
You would retreat in the face of opportunity.
That horn was rather girthsome.
I have to say, I laughed out loud at that. And Tay Leone is great in delivering some of the sides. And Will Poulter,
yes,
who you saw or heard in the trailer there, he's the one talking about cancer. That's the biggest one. He's a hoot.
Yes.
And really the cast is great. And obviously this is high concept for the writer-director, I believe, feature debut for Alex Sharpman. Yeah. And so it is high concept, and the cast is good enough to keep it afloat most of the time, because it's Paul Rudd and his daughter, played by Jenna Ortega, and they're driving up the mountains through this wilderness retreat to this compound of the family that employs him as legal counsel and runs this massive pharmaceutical company. And they have recently lost their wife/mother, and so they're and Jenna's a teenager, and the relationship is already a little bit strained, and their bickering causes him to take his eyes off the road. Boom, he hits something that looks an awful lot like a unicorn. But he's preoccupied. He doesn't want to blow this big promotion he thinks he's got coming. So they put the carcass in the car. And
the Tommy Boy of them.
Yeah, exactly. And just forget about the damage, because he got the waiver on the rental car, so it's okay. And head on up. And so they get there, and the patriarch of the family, the pharmaceutical company, is played by Richard E. Grant, and he's dying of cancer. His wife is Téa Leoni. Their son, Shep, is Will Poulter. And once things get out about what happened, and then they find that the unicorns, once they believe it actually is a unicorn, they have magical powers in the horn and the blood. And pretty soon, Jenna's acne is suddenly gone, and the cancer is suddenly gone from Richard E. Grant, and he feels great. So pharmaceutical company is going to think dollar signs, and they want to harness this power of this magical beast. And that's not a good idea, especially when the parent unicorns of the one that they hit come calling. And they're not the kind of unicorns that you pet, because we were talking about that this morning on our TV gig. The host was like, don't you want to pet a unicorn? Not this one. These ones you do not. You don't want to pet these unicorns. And I will say the CGI could use a little more magic pixie dust, but things turn pretty bloodthirsty. I mean, this is the blood and the guts you didn't get in The Woman in the Yard. It gets nasty. So it sort of lives between that Ready or Not type of characterization and maybe companion, or let's just, like we just saw a couple of weeks ago in Mickey 17. The theme is similar about the eat the rich kind of thing. We've seen that a lot for a good reason. But those characters are very big eyebrows, very, very over the top. This is not so much, dialed down a little bit, but still, it gets the point across. The humor is a little more dry, a little more understated. But once the blood starts flowing, the message is very, very clear. And the cast is fantastic. They get their shots in, even around the kind of iffy CGI sometimes. The thing that disappointed me was, I guess, the ending. Ready or Not was so much fun, because it took it all the way to the end. Yes, and you're going to be reminded of that, because even though there's not as many players involved, you're still in a big mansion, and you're being chased, you're being, hunted down, so to speak, this time by these mythical beings instead of other people. But that was great, because it took it all the way to the end. This one comes up and pulls some punches at the end. You've got a father and a daughter relationship, so they go to the warm fuzzies a little bit toward the end. And there's nothing wrong with that, but when you're driving home this type of message, I think it muted it a little bit. The where they went beforehand, when you come up and make it a little schmaltzy, and it's sold a lot better by the cast. But for me, I wanted to see him take it all the way, especially because they introduced this great thread. Jen Ortega starts, while they're inside the house, she does some research about the mythology of unicorns, and it's very clever how they take it all the way back and almost make it final girls have been around a lot longer than you think they have. Oh, that's a nice thread. I was interested in that. Let's go there. Let's explore that a little bit more. I kind of wish they would have done that and taken it to the end. But I still enjoyed it. I don't think it was great. I still think this type of movie was done best by Ready or Not. Still love that. And we've seen a few films since then try to duplicate that. Not quite as well. And this one doesn't either, but it is fun. It's some fun, just sort of pulls up a little bit safe at the end, but a great cast for Death of a Unicorn. And that one is also in theaters starting this weekend, starting now.
Next up, Jason Statham is back as Levon Cade, who left his profession behind to work construction and be a good dad to his daughter. But when a local girl vanishes, He's asked to return to the skills that made him a mythic figure in the shadowy world of counterterrorism. It's a working man.
This isn't just some kidnapping. This is human trafficking.
You killed your way into this. You're gonna have to kill your way out of it.
Keeps hunting us.
Oh, that is not good.
Wanna have a race?
You a cop?
You wish I was a cop.
Look at those bricks. You ain't a cop. You're a working man.
Look at
Working
those bricks.
Yeah, I know a lot of people liked The Beekeeper.
Yep.
Not us
Nope.
so much, but for the people that like The Beekeeper, be glad to know that he's back with the director of that film, David Ayer, he's done some films that I liked. I mean, he goes back to Fury. I liked Fury years ago, and he's done some things, but they're back together. And David Ayer actually co-writes this script with Sylvester Stallone. Stallone gets a writing credit here. And if you remember, I don't know, 8 or 10 years ago, Stallone wrote the film Homefront that Jason Statham starred in. And of course, they're buddies from Expendables. So anyway, for whatever the case, Stallone gets a writing credit, but the script is not especially original, as you can probably get that idea from the trailer. Jason Statham he's a construction worker, but he's got this past as an operative, as a soldier, and he's trying to put it behind him. He's a different guy now. Not going to do that anymore. Not going to go down those roads until a friend of his has his daughter kidnapped. And then you find out quickly that she was sold into human trafficking. So he's going to go back to his violent ways and get her back and make people pay. Taken, many films that have come after Taken, same deal. And Jason Statham has to go through the Russian mobsters who are behind this. So you know what you're getting. You're getting a lot of, neck snapping and lots of beat downs. But I think even the people that liked The Beekeeper, as ridiculous as that film was, there was some ridiculous fun to it. And I think a better pace. This one starts out, of course, with some early action to get you hooked and get you into it and set the stakes. And then I think there's some long dry patches where you're sort of waiting for that. And it's a full 2 hours and it feels it. You're waiting a little too long, I think, for the big finale where everybody, gets theirs. We have a lot of twists and turns and more people coming back in and just stretches where you're wondering, we're having a lot of talking here and maybe getting a little impatient for the action. You might have seen in the trailer, David Harbour pops in. It's almost a cameo. It's a very small part, but he pops in. And then you've got some random, Russian mobster guys. So it's really, it seems I say this a lot about Jason Statham films. It's very plug and play.
Yeah.
You know what you're getting outside of Spy, which we still absolutely love.
Yes. Yeah.
It's more the same. And, as long as it's cashing the checks,
yeah,
that's why we keep getting these films. So I understand that. But so even though we're not big fans, I'm not big fans, I need a big fan, need more substance here. I think even maybe fans of The Beekeeper, while they're waiting on Beekeeper 2, because I think there is another one coming, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think this one may try the patience a little bit. Need to keep it a little more snappy while it just goes down very, very familiar roads, no matter who is getting the screenwriting credit. But you know what you're getting. I just think the pace could have been quickened a little bit. But we will see. For me, not really a recommendation. But for the diehard Statham fans, maybe.
I think if you are looking for the best ever movie on this topic, you should watch Linz Ramsey's "You Were Never Really Here" starring Joaquin Phoenix. It's a masterpiece.
Oh man, that's a whole different animal, and you are not kidding. If only for that masterful use of one of the worst songs of all time, "I've Never Been to Me."
Yep.
Oh.
It's
on
genius.
the kitchen floor. That is
one of the
just
greatest
beautiful.
filmmakers, too.
Yes, love that. Love that you worked in a nod to "You Were Never Really Here." That is fantastic film. Working Man, not so much, but it's in theaters now.
And next up, a grown men's recreational baseball game stretches to extra innings on their beloved field's final day before demolition. Humor and nostalgia intertwine as daylight fades, signaling an era's end in Eephus.
You play ball, kid?
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor. Don't.
It's all combat. Life. This game. Combat.
It's nice to be back on this grass field. It's a shame those pricks are building a school here.
Can't quit this field, huh? Doesn't want to stop playing.
But what are we doing here? Come on!
Get going now, the whole game would be pointless.
It was already pointless, fellas.
Hey, me, throw the Eephus.
The Eephus pitch is a type of curveball so unnaturally slow that it confuses the batter.
Makes him lose track of time.
It's kind of like baseball. I'm looking around for something to happen. Poof, game's over.
Pretty perfect for the opening week of baseball, and this is really a lovely, lovely film. This is from writer-director Carson Lund, who's done a few of his own projects, and also a longtime cinematographer. So a really impressive resume of cinematography projects. But you get the feeling this is a labor of love, and it really shines through in it. You've got this group of older guys, and they've been playing in this league. It's not softball. It is fast pitch baseball, as fast as they can pitch it. and not,
fast is relative.
not as fast anymore. Because at one point, the one pitcher talks about trying to throw 70 miles an hour. No. I've batted against 70 miles an hour, and no, they're not hitting 70 in this, but that's fine. Anyway, it's their last day because they're in New Hampshire, small New Hampshire town. And they're going to have to give up the field for a school next year. As you heard the one guy say, it's a shame those pricks got to build a school. And actually, for longtime baseball fans, you may recognize that is Bill Spaceman Lee who says that. And he's a longtime baseball fans will remember him. He was a real free spirit back in the day, pitcher mainly from the Boston Red Sox, I think was his main team. But but he's here to explain for people that don't know what the title means. It's a type of a pitch, a really weird pitch, and how to throw it. So that's helpful. He comes in. He doesn't exactly play much. He shows them how to pitch that. But so anyway, they've been coming to this league for years, and they're going to have to give it up because the field is being torn down. And that's basically it. The film is the course of a single day, and all these guys get together. There's not many people in the bleachers. There's one guy who's been keeping the book for years, and right there, if you're talking keeping the book, baseball fans are like, yes.
Yes.
It's such a romance to the history of baseball, and I think anybody that feels that is going to love this, because they are facing, as old as they are, they're facing maybe the possibility that this game that they love is going to move on without them. Yeah. And so it's very metaphorical, obviously, but it doesn't overdo it. It still makes it very romantic and funny, and bring in different types of meanings between baseball and life. And of course, there's been many great baseball movies that have drawn that correlation. It's a type of a game that lends itself to that. And that was explained, I think, best by the James Earl Jones monologue in Field of Dreams. Mm-hmm. But even in that, he says one of the best parts about that is where he says this game is a part of our past. And this is sort of a fantasy about holding on to that present. Just one more inning, one more out, one more at bat, because the game, the final game on the last day of this field, goes into extra innings. And of course it gets dark, and they're not about to let the darkness call this game. And so they're just going to hang on to it as long as they possibly can. So it's really beautiful. I mean, the acting is very authentic. You know, sometimes these aren't Oscar winners, but it's very authentic. Everyone who has ever, and you know this as much as we've been around ball fields, you know these people. Yeah. You know them. You've played with them. You've worked with them. They're wisecracking each other. They've been doing it for years, but they love each other and they love playing, even though they fall on their face trying to leg out a grounder. But they want to keep doing this as long as they possibly can. And now they're faced with the possibility of maybe this is the last day ever they're going to do that. And it's really lovely. It is really lovely. And I put it up there with really meaningful baseball movies. And there's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of great baseball movies. But this one is really, if you love the game, and if you're any type of a purist, or you have a history of playing it, even in these rec leagues, I think you're going to really enjoy it. And it's called Eephus. And well done. And that is I think it's in select theaters now. We had a special, and we had a special screen here at home.
Across the country.
Okay, working its way across the country. That's great. Obviously, eventually it's going to hit streaming. So if it doesn't come to your area, look it up. I think you'll enjoy it.
Next is the first of the modern fishing films, shot in the wild panorama of 1970s Key West. Colorful scenes of Key West from another era, with treasure hunters, smugglers, hippies, and eccentrics, are background to stunning cinematography and tarpon fishing at its finest. It is Tarpon.
Boy, here's another film right up our alley. I'll tell you what, this is such a film with a fascinating backstory. I mean, it goes all the way back to the 70s. This was originally filmed in Key West in 1973, I believe. And then it never got officially released. It would be out there, different prints of it. And over the decades, it got to be a cult favorite among writers and fishing guides, but it was never really out there as an official release. And now, finally, it has been restored, beautifully restored, I should say, very beautifully restored, and getting an official streaming release this weekend. And it's only 53 minutes, but man, it casts such a spell, especially if you have any sort of affinity for any of these. I mean, let's run them down. The 70s, the Keys in Florida, writing, fishing, Jimmy Buffett. I mean, check them off. It's really one that you want to look up. And also, as a sort of a bookend, or a part two maybe of this, if you watch this, and we do recommend it, go on YouTube, and there's a short film out right now on YouTube, and I think it was financed by the Yeti Corporation. They got their name on it, and it's called All That Is Sacred, and it's about 30 minutes, and it looks behind the scenes at this movie, using some clips from the movie, but much more recent interviews with the people involved. It's got Jimmy Buffett before he passed, talking about being involved in this movie, and Tom McGuane and Jim Harrison and some of the other people. And you get a lot more context into it. But wait until after you see this, because this is such a cinema verite slice.
It really is.
It really is. And it's beautiful. You just dropped in Key West here, in with this group of eccentric locals and creatives, writers, fishermen, and the through line, I guess, is very cleverly done with the driver of the Key West Contour train. We've taken that tour, and it gives it a context as you're going in and out among these people, and it's really hypnotic.
Yeah, it is. It's the direction of this documentary, I thought, was just ingenious. It's very low key, but it's really, really well structured. And engaging, beautifully shot. I do want to give just a trigger warning to people. I mean, if you fish often, you're used to seeing fish die. If you don't fish, because again, in 1974 it was filmed, and there's a section of like more like party boat kind of fishing, and it's pretty brutal. So, if you're squeamish, if you don't want to see live animals killed on screen, just know that going into it.
Yeah, and I will say that is very authentic, because this early 70s to mid 70s was really about the first time that I went down to Key West with my family, and we knew a long time legendary fisherwoman in Florida who honestly would do the same thing. If she caught a shark, she unfortunately would do the same thing. That's just how they felt about sharks at the time. But you're right. It's good to say that trigger warning, because you definitely will see that. But aside from that, yeah, the photography, the restoration, beautiful. You're out on that water. It's almost like glass sometimes. And then they hook this big tarpon, which can be one of the most exhilarating fish to land and try to fight, because they fight so strongly. And but it's just a time capsule of a lost world. I mean, heck, you go down to Key West, and we're going to do it here in a few weeks. It's not like this anymore. But nothing is. That's the thing. You can sit around and go, oh, the good old days. Everything changes. And this is such a really wonderful slice of that 70s life, and these existences where, and these people went on. Obviously, Jimmy Buffett went on to, oh my Lord, incredible success. But these writers too, Jim Harrison, he wrote Legends of the Fall. You know, Tom McGuane wrote on to many successful books, and some were turned into movies. So you had this group of creatives that fueled off this lifestyle and went on to incredible success. And it's interesting because the actual documentary Tarpon, you really only see Jimmy Buffett one time. You'll hear the music, and really big Buffett fans will, once in a while, you hear a little bit of a guitar pick. You think, wow, that sounds like this piece might have turned into a song I know more, a song that I know better in a few years. But he did the original music, but none of them have lyrics. But if you want more of him, and then more of these writers later on, then look up that All That Is Sacred after you watch Tarpon, and you'll find that on YouTube. But yeah, recommend this restoration. It's gorgeous, and it's called Tarpon, finally released, and it's out streaming right now.
And next, a woman unravels in the wake of her mother's mysterious death, following her suspicions to dangerous ends. It's Shudderbugs.
Mama, I'm worried about you. Please just let me know you're okay.
My mom had this story. I always think of it like I know it really well.
What's your relationship to the deceased, ma'am?
I'm her daughter.
Why'd you check on her?
All I know is she was so certain this is how it all happened.
Almost looks like the same setting as The Woman in the Yard. They're out there. They're in an isolated farmhouse, and things get a little creepy.
This one, Shudderbugs, this was reviewed for us by Rachel Willis, who liked it, was very impressed by it. Joanna Putnam is the writer, director, and star. And it is a story about loss, about grief, about sort of coming to terms with who you are in relationship with the mother that you've lost. And it's really well written, and it's beautifully filmed, very contemplative, very patient camera, really lovely film. That unfortunately, as much skill as Putnam shows as a writer and director, she's not quite there as the lead, and of course that she carries the whole film, and it might have been a slightly stronger movie had she cast another, maybe more seasoned performer, somebody with just a little bit more skill in front of the camera. It's not to say that it's not a good movie. It's a good movie, but it feels like it was a little short-sighted for her to do all three things when she has such a fine script and shows such great instincts behind the camera.
And I do say I like the play on words of the title, because usually it's Shutterbugs, but a Shudderbug. Yeah, I like that. But you can check out Rachel's full review. It's up at MaddWolf.com right now. And Shudderbugs, is that one streaming?
It is streaming.
Okay, so Shudderbugs is streaming now. And I think we have the return of Daniel, a.k.a. the Schlocketeer.
There he is.
Hey.
Hello.
Look like you're ready to land the plane.
Maybe.
All right, we get the Schlocketeer in for the studio news and notes. So it's been a couple of weeks since we talked, so you probably got a bunch.
Quite a bit. Starting off with what people can watch soon. Steven Soderbergh's Black Bag hits VOD on April 1st.
Yeah, I like that one.
And then Lee Wanell's Wolfman will be available to stream on Peacock starting April 18th. And if anyone missed Flying Lotus's sci-fi thriller Ash in theaters, it will be on VOD on April 22nd, followed by a Shudder premiere probably sometime in May.
Oh, good. Yeah, we did. We missed that one.
We did miss that one.
I missed it too. Universal and Focus Features have set a May 30th limited theatrical release and then a June 6th wide theatrical release for Wes Anderson's new espionage comedy, The Phoenician Scheme.
Nice.
I would list the cast, but it will take me the rest of this spot to do it.
Understood.
And then XYZ Films has set a June 6th theatrical release for their exorcism film, The Ritual, which stars Dan Stevens and Al Pacino.
I don't know that I need another exorcism movie until you said Dan Stevens is in it, and Al Pacino, sure too. But
right
now I'm on board.
I'm sure Al will dial it down and be very understated as things get crazy.
Right. No screaming at all. No. IFC Films has set a June 6th theatrical release for their shark-filled serial killer thriller Dangerous Animals.
Yes.
Which stars Jai Courtney and is from the director of The Loved Ones and The Devil's Candy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't burn. Give it to me.
Just when you think we need, or have we run out of angles for shark films? We have not.
No,
I got to give a plug. I can't not give a plug. The Loved Ones, which is Sean Byrne's first feature film, is in my top 10 all-time favorite horror movies.
Understandable.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Amazon MGM's crime comedy Deep Cover will premiere on Amazon Prime on June 12th. That stars Bryce Dallas Howard, Orlando Bloom, Patty Considine, Ian McShane, and Sean Bean.
Wow.
Ensemble.
Nice lineup for a British crime comedy. And then A24 has set a June 13th theatrical release for Celine Song's Materialists, which stars Dakota Johnson, Chris Evans, and Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, and she's the one that did Past Lives, which did so well. So that looks looks very interesting from the trailer.
It does.
Apple TV Plus has set a June 13th premiere for their thriller Echo Valley, which stars Julianne Moore, Sydney Sweeney, Kyle MacLachlan, and Domhnall Gleeson.
Wow.
Right?
Bookended with redheads. I like that.
Right. And then Neon's Dave Franco and Allison Brie starring body horror flick Together will hit theaters on August 1st.
Yeah. I saw that trailer and they're not giving away much, which I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more of a vibes trailer, as the kids say. And then speaking of horror, Warner Brothers has set an August 8th theatrical release for Barbarian director Zach Cregger's latest horror film, Weapons, which stars Josh Brolin, Julia Garner, Benedict Wong, and Amy Madigan.
All right.
Looking forward to that one. And I've got one more for you. It's a bit of an interesting one. I didn't even know this was coming until it was announced, but Searchlight Pictures has set an August 29th theatrical release for their War of the Roses remake, which is simply titled The Roses. It's set in England, and it stars Benedict Cumberbatch, Olivia Colman, Andy Samberg, Allison Janney, and Kate McKinnon.
Well,
wow.
I'm in.
Right?
I'm so in. I'm so in.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. If you ask me, do you need a War of the Roses remake? I would say no. But you give me that cast, then all right.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. You can always check out Daniel for the latest news from the studio and more at the Schlocketeer on the socials. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
See ya.
All right. Looking ahead to next week. What are we looking at?
Well, Minecraft, the Minecraft movie.
We love it because we love gaming so much. We love these gaming movies. We know nothing about it.
We do love Jack Black, though.
We do love Jack Black. And I've heard of Minecraft.
Yeah.
But maybe we need to do some research. Maybe play it.
Nope.
No. Okay. Minecraft is next week. Also, looking forward to this. Freaky Tales. Because this is not only the return of filmmakers that we like, Bowden and Fleck.
But
it's an anthology, and they do all the installments.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Plus Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal is everywhere.
Yep. Hell of a Summer, which we've already seen and is delightful.
One called Thank You Very Much.
Yeah. Eric LaRue, which is Michael Shannon's directorial debut.
Okay.
I'm
And
excited
also,
for that one.
yeah, 825 Forest Road.
That's from the Hell House LLC writer-director. And then
Right.
also Audrey.
All right. That's all for next week. But what about this week? Are you digging Death of a Unicorn? Are you a big Jason Statham fan? Maybe Woman in the Yard. Let's talk about all of that and more. You can always find us easily on the socials anytime. That's Mad Wolf Columbus. Of course, the main website is maddwolf.com. That's mad with 2 Ds. And as you heard us talking about earlier, if you love just the horror films, so do we. Come find us on our other podcast, a horror movie only podcast called Fright Club. That's all out there for you as well. So we hope you'll keep in touch and be well. And we'll talk about more movies next week. And until then, thanks again to Daniel Baldwin. She is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And this is the Screening Room Podcast.
See ya.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner.